Joining me on the show today is Keaneo Young Gunz Moyer. He was a gentleman to come back. He showed up unwillingly to episode 37, but I bribed him enough. He likes hamburgers and shit, so that any sort of like bribery, you send him gift cards, anything like that. The weight of this man's heart's through his stomach. So here we are, we're at episode 90. Keaneo, welcome back, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you to have me back. And you're right, definitely some sliders or some burgers is definitely the way to my heart.
I don't care how big you are or lack thereof. That's still got to be a tough weight to make. And the sacrifice has got to be real. There are a lot of other guys that have a lot more room for error to play with. And when you're in the flyweight class, it ain't really like that.
No, it's not. It's honestly, man, you got to I've learned the hard way a couple of times with some bad weight cuts and just not knowing how to do it the right way. And yeah, it really does. If you're not staying close to your fight weight all the time, it's going to that weight cut's really going to play a part in your performance and play a part in and how you compete in general. Like if you're really tired the week of your fight, and you're having a really hard weight cut, by the time you get to that fight, it's going to be really hard to be able to go out there and perform in front of all those people. So you got to make sure that you eat the right things and take care of yourself and keep close to your fight weight, especially at this weight class.
Yes, sir. And speaking of your weight class and things that are going down in your weight class, we had a big fight not that long ago at UFC 270. We had Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo. I wanted to get your opinion on that fight because Figueiredo looked like a different dude. And I wonder if the prior bout, there was a lot of noise about what you were just talking about, a bad weight cut. He said a lot of things like he didn't look like the guy I am accustomed to seeing. We just had the trilogy fight, and that's setting up a quadrilogy fight. I got to get your opinion first. The Moreno-Figueiredo fight, it was very close. Are you okay with the outcome the way it was, or are you saying, like, no way, man, Brandon did enough? Where are your thoughts on that fight?
Honestly, it was so close going into the fifth round. It was really who was able to win the fifth round would win the fight. And I honestly feel like Figueiredo did enough, honestly, man. He especially with the knockdowns, everybody, I don't know if people were adding in the knockdowns, that's a really big part. And he knocked him down like 3 to 4 times. So that's a really big thing. And also, he just looked like a completely different fighter. He did not get tired. He did not get drained. It seemed like the weight cut. Yeah, he seemed like he had a good weight cut this time because he was able to perform all 5 rounds and he kept the power. That's something that I really, really like about Figueiredo is that even when he was tired, even when he was having those bad weight cuts, it was still into the 4th or 5th round in the first fight where he was still putting power on Moreno. So, I really feel like Figueiredo did enough. Brandon's going to have to, in the 4th fight, Brandon's going to have to do what he did in the 2nd fight and try to really more so go for the finish. He's really going to have to try to finish Figueiredo.
Yeah, absolutely. And easier said than done. I was kind of anticipating Brandon was going to try to leverage his, and maybe not, maybe this is a dumb thing to say, but I thought he would try to grapple him a little bit more than what he did. I know that Figueiredo, like that guy will snap on a sub, no problem. Maybe that was intentional, but I just kind of thought with Brandon's background, he's a very good grappler. I was kind of surprised he didn't grapple a little bit more. Were you?
Yeah, but me and my coach were talking about this, and at first I really thought Brandon was gonna win the fight, and then I talked to my head coach about it, and he was just like, "Well, this whole camp, Figueiredo's been working with Henry Cejudo, and that's been his main coach, and
Right.
so that's why I really think Brandon didn't try to take him down because he knew, his wrestling's gonna be a lot better, and then, like you said, he has a really good guillotine, he has really good submissions, so it's just better to try to keep it standing, or at least like he did try to take him down a couple times, but not like he did in the 2nd fight.
Exactly. I think it's going to be really interesting to see them fight a 4th time. I'm not upset with that. Anytime those two fight, it's going to be a show. It's going to be money. And Figueiredo even went out and said, he's like, listen, I'll fight this dude in Mexico. And in my opinion, it's like, well, you kind of already did. LA is close
Yeah,
enough.
for real. Yeah.
Right? Like that was a hostile crowd. Nobody in that arena was going for Figueiredo. I think Figueiredo, like me personally, I don't have a problem with them running that fight in Rio. I don't have a problem with UFC putting on a pay per view in Brazil. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be a really neat thing to see, especially for the Brazilian fans. We don't have a lot of cards down there. I think it's just
Oh,
going to
that would
be
be a good idea actually, because the Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira is
Charles.
supposed to be down in
Exactly.
Brazil, so that'd be a good co-main event. That's enough time to give them enough
Yeah,
time
man. That's just kind of what I was
to break for it.
thinking. Yeah, and
Yeah, that's a good ass idea.
I wonder if that's possible. I just don't know how the world is working down there with Corona and all that other stuff. But Dana White, make it happen. I think the people in Brazil deserve to see two of their own fighting championship fights. I think that'd be really cool to see. I want to ask you, Keanu, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to ask you about your gym. The last time we talked, the conversation was more on you specifically, and we'll get to what's going on with you or what went on with you in 2021 and what you got in store for you in a couple of weeks. But I want to talk about the Equip Academy in Portland, Oregon. That's where you train out of. Can you talk a little bit about like what the atmosphere is like in your gym and the people that go there? I'm curious about some of your teammates, and I want to know how you guys help each other out and if you corner anybody at any given point in time.
Yeah, man, I'd say that the atmosphere is just like a family atmosphere for sure. We're all really close with each other, and all of us really just like help each other get better. That's the main goal, is every single person plays a part in each other's camps or just plays a part in each other's lives. It's really, we all help each other out. And yeah, it's just a really professional family atmosphere. And I've been training at world class gyms since I was a little kid, and I've never felt like this before. We're just really tight knit, really close, and yeah, every single one of us benefits each other, which is really good. That's how I feel like all MMA gyms should be. And I really look at our gym, and I think of our gym as the city kickboxing, you know, as Israel Adesanya's gym. It's like we don't really have a lot of grappling coaches, or we're not really necessarily known for our grappling, even though I go out there and tap these guys out, which is crazy to me. But I really feel like we're like city kickboxing. I feel like I truly do have the best boxing coach in the Pacific Northwest in my corner, and I really do feel like I have the best MMA striking coach in my corner. And yeah, my teammates are really freaking dope people. I really like I've been close with them for years now, close to 4 to 5 years, at least all of them. We got a couple people that are newer to the squad, but I've been friends with them or teammates with them for a couple years now too. And the main people that I train with is Paul O'Neill. He's a kickboxer with up to 13 or 14 amateur kickboxing fights. Has like 3 to 4 title fights in kickboxing. And I've cornered him for his last 2 fights. Which is crazy to me to think, because when he first started out, I didn't think he was going to take it this serious. And you know, I've been training since I was 14, so like when I see people come and go all the time, all the time. That's just something that's really big in MMA. It's just people come and go. But this kid, man, he's not a kid; he's a grown ass man. But this dude, man, he stayed consistent, and he's one of the most consistent people that I know. He always shows up. He always works hard in his fights. He always gives it 100%, whether he wins or loses. And that's the type of people that I want around me, man. And he's like, you know, he's made it really far, and I'm really excited to see him transition over to MMA. He's looking to make his MMA debut at the FCFF, which is where I made my where I didn't make my debut there, but I've had a lot of my fights there as amateur. And yeah, man, he's a really dope dude. He's his kickboxing is on another level compared to anybody out here, I feel like. And once he gets his takedown defense really good and his grappling really good, he'll be on another level. And I'm super excited to see him take over the 135 division. And then my boy Michael, he's just started training with us for a couple years, and he's a kickboxer transitioning to boxing and MMA. And he just won his debut against a guy that had 3 to 4 fights, so it has 3 to 4 has 3 times the experience as him, and he did really good. He went all 3 rounds for his debut, and I got to corner that fight as well, and I got to help him get ready for that fight, and it's just really crazy to think. For his first fight, he had a fight in front of all his family and his friends, and he had to he had the choice to to wear shin guards or not to wear shin guards. And I told him, like, this is the real deal. You're gonna have to go out there sometimes and not wear shin guards, so might as well get it out the way now. And he chose not to wear shin guards for his first fight. And yeah, he did really good, man. I'm really proud of him. He's a really good fighter. His technique is really crisp. He has a lot of power behind him, and yeah, I'm just really glad that we got the coaches that we do at our gym, because they help us get better every single day. Every time that I show up to practice, or any of us show up to practice, we walk out of there feeling 10 times better than we did before we went in. And yeah, I'm really thankful for where I'm at.
You hit on something, Keanu, that I think is kind of interesting, and in a weird way, I kind of identify with it a little bit. Every so often when I'm like, not so much anymore because of the pandemic or whatever, but like in times past, before things really went to a full tilt and I got this show going, there are people in my family, there are people in my circle, they're like, oh, wow, like you talk to mixed martial artists. That's super cool. I love the idea of a podcast. It's so badass. You're going to like blow up one day, blah, blah, blah. I hear all that stuff, right? I bet similarly, you hear the same thing, like, oh, wow, you're an MMA fighter. That's so cool. You're going to blow up. You're going to be like Brandon Moreno one day, making all this money. And like, people really like see the end benefit, right? Like they see like the amount of time that you're in the cage. They see, the episodes I put out on YouTube, but what they don't see are all the things that lead up to that. Like you don't just walk into a cage. This is something that you have to prepare for months. There's a lot of sacrifice that's involved in this. For me, it was like, I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff before I could even like do this. I had to learn how to video edit. I had to learn the ins and outs of Instagram and all that other stuff. And I'm still learning. The point I'm trying to make.
You have to learn about people. It's different.
Yeah,
it's like you have to like, not only are you, that's why I give you so much credit, because I really do. It's like I totally understand like how the back scenes, working in the back scenes, how much it pays off when you make it to the big scene. Because seriously, man, it's just like you have to do a lot, dude. Like you just said, you have to learn how to set this whole shit up. You have to learn the technology. You have to learn about the person that you're talking to. And it's like you talk to so many different people, man. It's like, holy shit. Like that's why I give you your respect, because I'm like, dude, you have to talk to so many different people, and you genuinely care. You do your research. You know what you're talking about. You don't just go in there and like you said, the people that do go into the cage not prepared, 9 times out of 10 they fucking lose, and that's just flat out facts.
And I tell people like all the time, I'm just like, it's not as glamorous as what it seems. Like there's really, like, I'm telling you, like going on Tapology and looking at all the fights, going on YouTube, going through all the tape, doing all of the research, finding out who you're fighting, finding out who they fought, like there are hours that go into this, hours upon hours upon hours, and you see the finished product. And I feel like with fighting, it's like we're caught up in this like age of social media, and we see people that we want to try to emulate, and we get caught up in this fantasy world, right? You put anybody, like it's like you want to fight, just put them through like 4 weeks of like some of the crap that you do, and we'll see who really wants to fight still.
Exactly. And I tell people that all the time, because it's one thing just sitting there and watching it, or even just being at the fights, because I've been going to fights since I was a little kid. It's just different. You think in your head, like Mike Tyson, it's a true saying. It's like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And then and then it's like, do you really, like, are you really made for this?
Right. Right.
And it's not just off your first fight. It's like it takes a little while to figure out if this is really for it. It's not off your first fight. You can't just win or lose your first fight and then you're just like, this is for me. No, it's going to take a little while. It's going to take a little while, and then that's why you have a whole amateur career.
Right. And like the thing about mixed martial arts is like, here's the other thing to think about. It's like, this isn't like baseball. right? Like you go out for baseball, you have a bad game, but guess what? There's a game next week. Fighting doesn't work like that. Um, Even as an amateur, it's like you're expected to sell tickets. Like you're expected to do your part realistically, but like you're expected to like show up and put on a show. Um, this is a type of business where it's like at any level you get out there, you put yourself out there, and you don't perform to like expectations, you're gonna have a short shelf life. That like people run in small circles and word gets around. So you really have to make the most of your opportunities, and it just kind of goes back to like all the prep work, everything that you're doing to get ready for those 9 minutes or those 15 minutes or 25 minutes, whatever the case may be. And I wanted to ask you, Keaneo, like, what are some of the things that you have given up in order to do this? Because shocker of all shockers to people who are listening to this, Keaneo does not have a platinum boat. He does not live in a mansion. It's a grind out there. And like, if you, I'm not going to ask him what his purse is, but I have a pretty good idea about what it is. Trust me when I say there are way easier things you could do to make more money than what he's getting paid. I promise. So, Keaneo, I wanted to ask you, it's like you're putting in thousands of hours of your personal time. You're sacrificing so much to put everything you have into this. Like, what are some of the things that you've been giving up and some of the sacrifices you've made in order to do this for the amount of time that you have?
Man, I've dedicated my whole entire life to this since I was 14 years old. There's so many other things that I could have chose to do. I could have been an electrician. I could have been in construction. I could have been fucking the president of the United States if I really wanted to. Jesus, I could do anything that I put my mind to, seriously. And I chose to do this because I really thought, it's not even that a thought anymore. It's like, okay, when you first started, it's a thought. That's what I try to tell people. Like, you know, you got to get a couple fights in, got to get your experience. I thought when I first started out, hey, I could really be a world champion. Now it's a reality. It's like real. It's like it's not even being a world champion. I can really be the best in the world, and I am going to be the best in the world. And I've literally dedicated my whole life to this. I didn't go out and party when I was younger. I didn't have like a social life. I didn't have I didn't have hobbies. I literally, since I was 18 years old, I've been working and training. That's all I've done. Working and training since I was 18 years old. So for the last 5 years, that's all I've done is dedicate my whole entire, well, even since I was 14, I've done it. But since I became a grown adult, that's what I've done. Work and go to practice, work and go to practice. So yeah, man, it's just it's the real grind.
And it tests you at times. Like I would imagine like there's a limited pool of people out there that can identify with you and really have any sort of like comprehension on what you're putting yourself through and why this is so important to you. Like most people would probably look at you and just be like, bro, like why are you doing this? And that must, it's a lonely place to be in, right? Like it's a lonely place.
It's not like I come from a family of fighters. Like, you know, I do come from a family of fighters because they fight for what they really love and they fight for, you know, they fight for certain things, but I don't come from a family of cage fighters, boxers, wrestlers. Like, you know, I'm the only person in my family that does this. And there's not like, out here in the Pacific Northwest, like, you know, we do have our up and coming fighters, but there has never been no world champions here. There's never, from Portland, Oregon, if you're born and raised in Portland, Oregon, there's never been no world champions from here. Whether it's been boxing, MMA, there's never been no world champions here. There's nobody that's been to that level. Shout out to Chael Sonnen. He claims Wesleyan, Oregon, so he's been close. He's fought for the belt a couple of times, but he's not. I'm from here. I'm from this city, Portland, Oregon. I was born and raised here, and I want to be the first world champion from here, and I'm going to be the first world champion from here. And it's like, yeah, like you said, I don't come from a silver spoon. Like, you know, I was raised by a single mother with 3 kids. You know, you know, there's times in my life where we were in very hard situations. You know, we had nothing. Like, you know, there's times where I didn't know how we were going to pay our rent, how am I going to get my next meal, and you know, I'm worried about how I'm going to have to pay my gym dues and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, it's just I've dedicated, I've given everything to this my whole entire life, and
you're just wired different, man. Like, and I want
Yeah,
you to get
cut
that.
from a different cloth.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
believe that.
Well, I think you have to be in order to like get that level of success, and in order to do the things that you're doing, you can't be like everybody else. You have to be different. Like you, I don't really know how to say it. Like there's so many people that you got like Elon Musk, right? And if you like read about him and read about like how Tesla came to be and like what he did to build that up, he had to live a life that most people would just be in
Would
awe
never
of.
understand.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
he's like, yeah, man, like I would sleep under my desk. I'd work 16 hours a day. Like the grind doesn't stop for me. Like I would work myself to death pretty much every single day. And now people look at him like, oh man, must be nice or her. And it's just like, dude, like this guy is like put his heart and soul into this. Like it's not enough to just be smart. It's not enough to just work hard. You got to put everything you got into it.
Exactly. Well, there's just okay. These are just simple things. Like you asked me what I've like given up. This is just something that's simple, but it means a lot to me because you see all the food that I post. You see how much I love to eat. I can't for the last 4 weeks of my training camp. So I do 8-week training camps usually, 6 to 8 week training camps. For the last 4 weeks of my training camp, I stick to a strict diet. I stick to a very strict diet where I'm only able to eat certain things or I'm only able to drink certain things for the last 4 weeks. I'm sponsored by the best sliders and burgers, in my opinion, and it's not even just an opinion. It's out there. The best burgers or sliders in the United States. I'm sponsored by them, and then I can't eat that. I just went there the other day, and what did I get? I got 3 salads. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
wasn't able to eat no burgers, so it's just like I have to. I'm a foodie. I love my ice cream. I love my candy. I'm not able to eat that.
Mm-hmm.
There's times where like my friend just invited me out to get some drinks on Friday. It's Friday night. I should be able to go out and get some drinks, live my life. No, man, I got a fucking title fight in 2 weeks. I can't drink. I can't do something like that. I can't even go out with you, dude. I gotta go to practice. I gotta go fucking get choked out and go choke some people out. So it's just like,
Right.
it's just yeah. These are just simple things, man. Just gotta yeah. Those are
Yeah, but
just
over time they become big things. Like you think about
exactly.
it, and it's like it's a test, right? Like how bad do you want it? You put a big delicious burger in front of you. Of course you want to eat that, but you see like, okay, well, it ain't gonna work. Like this is just gonna get in my way of what I'm trying to accomplish, and you brush it off to the side. And like those are daily victories. And I know it sounds corny, but it's like when you're on a diet and like when you're trying to like do something, like little things like choosing the right things to eat, getting your butt in the gym, it's like a lot harder. It's hard. It's fucking hard, man. It's not easy.
All that adds on to the mental preparation. So I feel like if you can do all that stuff, it should be so simple when you get into the cage. When certain things happen, you should just be able to click into your head, oh, like no, maybe during your training camp, which it's never been like this for me, thankfully, because we train really hard, but like and actually there actually has been one time there I've been put into a position where I'm just like, wow, you know, I don't really know what to do right now, and I lost. That
Right.
was my one loss. But there's just certain positions where you get put into, and you're just like you can relate them to your life more so than training. Like
Mhm.
there's just like certain positions, just like when I when my in my pro debut, I had never went all 3 rounds before, at least at pro. That was my first time going all 3 rounds, and I did it in my pro debut. There's a point in that fight where I got so tired, and I'm thinking in my head, man, I've never felt this before. But then you can go back to your training camp, and you're like, actually, yeah, you have felt this before because you ran really hard, you trained really hard. So there's times where you really have uh you've been that tired before. Yeah, so it's really crazy how you can relay life and training. It's all hand in hand, I feel like.
I think it's incredible, and I want to like shift gears a little bit and talk about your year in review. I thought your 2021 was very incredible. You fought two tough guys in front of like their people. You leaving Oregon to go to St. Louis and fight a really tough, scary dude that was making his debut. You tap this guy out like immediately. Then a few months later in Sacramento, it's you do pretty much the exact same thing. This time you get an armbar on this guy and like snap this dude's arm off. And we talked about this fight. He was a big, scary dude. Fighting like not the most active guy, but like a lot of people were going to show up for that fight, and it's a headline fight.
Yep.
Like you're fighting last, man. Like you're the guy they're bringing in. I'm not going to say bringing in to lose, but like nobody's going for you. Most people probably
exactly.
don't.
That's not my hometown, and yeah,
Yeah,
nobody knew who I was down there. So
yeah, nobody knows.
right.
People just want to see their boy win, and you're the guy that has to like spoil the party, and you've done it 2 times. Talk to me about what is it that is so appealing to like leaving Portland and fighting these guys on their turf? Like, do you get a sense of like satisfaction out of that? Is there a lot of anxiety? It kind of set the table for me. Tell me like what goes through your mind like when you're getting ready to like leave Portland and go to some of these places where people don't like you, they're tough, scary dudes, and you got to beat them.
Well, man, it's just I really do got to give a huge shout out and real thanks to the amateur promotion that I fought for. That's the promotion here in Portland. It's the FCFF, Full Contact Fighting Federation. Chael Sutton is the owner, and Kevin Keaneo is the matchmaker. And shout out to Heather Standing. She works in the back scenes and handles all that stuff. But yeah, they really helped me a lot get ready for my pro career. They gave me Kevin Keaneo gave me the opportunity to be a main event 5 times in a row, so I know what it feels like to be the main event. And this was all in my hometown. And this is when I just turned an adult. I'm just becoming an adult. So this is all, I'm under a lot of pressure. They put me in under a lot of pressure, and it's like, and I really appreciate them for that because now I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be the main event. I didn't know what it felt like fighting in other people's and out of town. So once I was able to do that the first couple of times, so I went down to Florida, I lost, and then I went down to St. Louis and I won. So after the first couple of times, I was able to figure out what it's like, and it's just like honestly, I would say it's a lot less pressure going and fighting in these other people's hometowns rather than fighting in my hometown, because I have everybody there. I have my whole family there. I have all the eyes on me. Everybody's expecting me to win or wanting me to win, at least in my hometown. So I feel so much less pressure going into these other people's hometowns, and it really does feel better winning in these other people's hometowns than it does in my own hometown, which sounds crazy because I'm a hometown kid. I love my fucking city. Shout out to Portland, Oregon. But it just feels so much better winning in these other people's cities, because you said it after you said when you beat Mike, it's not like going to be like your hometown. It's not going to even be like Missouri. It's going to be different. These guys are going to be crazy. They're going to want to fight you. They're going to be talking shit. And I didn't take that. I mean, I took it with a grain of salt. I didn't take it too serious. But damn, you were not kidding. I got cussed out. I had to get escorted out by the security, and I'm not even saying anything to anybody. Like, I just won my fight. That's all I did. But it's just so much less pressure, man. And it just feels so good fighting these people. And then now this time it's just like this time it's like this guy isn't the hometown kid, right? And this guy's flying in from the other side of the country like I had to, and he hasn't fought for 2.5 years or however 2 years or however long. So I know what it feels like to be him. So and I know and then that was a lot of pressure on me, and so I know what it feels like, man. And
so I'm hoping
that I'm fighting the best Jesse Tafoya, which I know that I am, because he's coming from a really good gym. So,
yeah. I want to hit on a couple things. So like about the Tubera fight, tough guy, not the most active guy, but we knew he was going to be good. And you were telling me like, I want the best version of him too. I want a tough dude to show up. I want to be tested. Doesn't get out of the first. You get him in a compromising position. That arm is yours. You went home to Portland with that man's arm with you. It was fantastic, man. Like, tough guy, tough environment. Like when you were like leaving the venue, did like things calm down? Did like people eventually like give you some respect? Did you talk to Mike at all after the fight? Anything like that? Like, did tempers come down to a simmer after like it was all said and done?
Yeah, well, it was so crazy because like right when I got backstage, it was like everything was just like poof. It was like everything was just so calm. It was so crazy. Like right when they got me backstage, it was just a completely different
Mhm.
atmosphere, and it's just like, yeah, it was really cool. I got to take pictures with people that I didn't know. I'm having people come up to me like, hey, can I get a picture with you? Or like, I got people coming up to me, congratulating me, saying, man, that was really great. You put on a great performance. And it was just a really completely different atmosphere once everything was able to calm down. And yeah, man, got to talk to Mike. Actually, I got to talk to him because I guess we were staying in the same hotel. I
Uh-huh.
got to talk to him in the hotel right after the fight. And yeah, he's a really dope dude. I asked him if he was okay and, how's his arm doing and stuff. And uh, he said it was pretty messed up. He said that either I broke it or I dislocated it in like a whole bunch of different areas, and he has to go to the doctors. And that's where I'm pretty sure that's where he was heading. He was with his wife, and it was crazy because he was like, "Man, you had me in the armbar for a really long time. I was tapping out, and you didn't feel it."
And
He's like,
it's
"I
like,
ended up
well,
He's like, he said this to me too. He was like, I ended up biting onto you. He's like, I bit onto you because I was tapping out for so long and you didn't feel it. I'm like, damn man, you fucking bit me. What the hell? That shit's crazy,
yeah,
man.
but you got your adrenaline going. You probably don't feel anything. And besides, it's not your job to let go. It's the ref's job to jump on you and peel you off from the guy.
Yeah, well, Frank Trigg is a savage because that's who ref my fight, Frank Trigg. He's a savage because I
Oh.
told Frank, I was like, man, I broke his arm. And then he's just like, and I'm like, he's tapping out. I felt like he was tapping at least. And I didn't see him tap, but I felt like he was tapping. And I heard his arm snap the first time. And I'm like, man, I broke his arm. And Frank's like, well, I didn't see it. You're gonna have to break it some more. And I'm
Damn.
like, I know he's savage. I'm like, all right, man, I guess I'm gonna have to fucking really just snap this dude's arm in half because seriously, he didn't care. So I just kept on going. I was just like, you want to know what? I'm gonna have to keep on going.
Hey,
And I
man, it's
did.
all business. All
Yeah,
business.
man. Because I try to tell people all the time, like,
I know. I saw it in the
even for
last fight.
even for my loss, like the one loss that I have as a pro, I'm tapping out. I don't care. I'm
Mhm.
talking about the longevity of my career.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not trying to get my arm broke. I'm not trying to get my leg broke. I'm not trying to go unconscious because if you choke me out and I go unconscious, that's 30 to 60 days that I have to stay out from training. That's 30 to
Mhm.
60 days that I can't fight again.
Yeah,
So
you're
it's just
already
like,
thinking
you
about
know
the
what? Hell no.
suspension. You don't want to deal with that.
Exactly. No, fuck that, man.
When you fought Sam Painitz, it was the same thing. Like you told the ref, you're like, this kid is out. Like this kid is unconscious. Like I read your lips. I know that you were saying it over and over again.
Yeah, and then that dude gets that ref is the complete opposite. He gets mad at me for not letting go, and I'm like, dude, I told you that he's knocked out and he's tapping out. He tapped out before he even went to unconscious, and
Yeah.
then I'm telling you that, and then you just like, oh, you gotta let go, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna let go.
Well, I think that was just a situation where the ref got caught watching the show. That's what I would be doing if I were a ref. That's why I could never be a ref because I would just be watching the show, man. I wouldn't even be paying attention.
Well, man, never nobody had ever seen that kid lose like that, so they're probably all in awe. They're just like, oh, I can't believe this is happening.
Hey,
But yeah,
man, like I wanted to. We talked about two guys that are really tough that you put down, and I'm just kind of like amazed. Like you're a young dude still. Like you can't even rent a car yet, which makes me
yep.
feel older than freaking balls. And as a for being a flyweight, I know you're like 5'6", 5'7", right around there. That's pretty big for a
Yeah, I
flyweight.
know. Honestly, yeah, I look at a lot of these guys that are in my weight
You're bigger
class.
than most of these dudes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And like as you get older, like does the thought ever go in your head like, all right, well, maybe I could do 35 one day, or you pretty much locked in at 25 from here on out?
Well, me and my coaches always talk about that. We're waiting until I turn about 25, 26, till I'm like fully developed to really see how my body handles growing like that handles the weight cut, because I've been fighting at 125 since I was like 15 years old. So it's been
Mhm.
like over a decade almost that I've been fighting this weight class. So it's been a long time. But I honestly feel like I am the best flyweight fighter in the world. I've said that since I first started, and until I take that spot, I don't plan on moving up weight classes. And then when I do take the number one spot, that's my plan. Is like, I always even when I was amateur, my plan was to be a champ, and then that's my plan when I go pro too, is to eventually one day when I take over the flyweight division, is move up and start trying to take over the bantamweight division as well.
Well, I tell you what, you're going to have an opportunity to take over the flyweight division on February 12th when you headline the Firepower promotion that's showing up here in a couple of weeks. It's for the flyweight championship. It'll be in Sacramento. And you got a tough dude in Jesse Tafoya. He's a Jackson Wink product. When you look at him, Jesse doesn't have the best record straight up. He's in the red actually, 3-4 at the time that we're recording this. But like when you peel back the onion, you start looking at this guy, I start having questions about him. And I mean it in a complimentary way. When I looked at Tafoya's career and just seeing what I can about him, things weren't working out so well. He didn't have the best start in MMA.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, he goes back to the lab. There's a period of inactivity. He goes back to the lab and he starts putting things together. He starts in 2020. He is starting to climb now. He's on a little bit of a winning streak. He wasn't active in 21, but that kind of tells me, I like sit back and I'm like, okay, this kid's working on stuff. Like this kid's not like being idle. He's not playing Xbox. Like he's at Jackson Wink, which if you don't know what Jackson Wink is, I don't really know what to tell you, but he's at one of the best gyms in the country. And they want this fight because his coaches, they see something they like. They see, like, they're not going to put their guy in a position if they think he's going to get murked. They think this is a good chance for him to get a tough win over you. I wanted to ask you, Keaneo, like when you look at Jesse, when you think about where he's coming from, how much of a challenge is this going to be for you? Like you said, you want the best Jesse Tafoya you possibly can get. What do you think he does well? Where do you think you're going to have a big advantage when you fight him here in a couple weeks?
This could be my toughest fight ever. I mean, in my whole entire career, whether my amateur career, pro career, to date, at least right now, like this is gonna be my hardest fight. This guy's got the most experience. He's been training at a world class gym. Just like he started training at I'm pretty sure it was like 12 or 13 or something like that. He's been training just as long as me at a world class gym. He's fucking tough, man. This kid is really tough. He ain't never been knocked out. He ain't never been TKO'd. He has been tapped out. I've been tapped out. So, I could, I attest to that, but he ain't never been finished. And he's a really tough kid, man. He's a real martial artist. He's like, no matter, he comes from a really good MMA gym. I feel like he feels comfortable no matter where the fight goes. I feel like he's his best where he is best is on the ground. Especially when he's on top, which that's for everybody, but at least in grappling. He's really good on the ground. Yeah, man, he has really good fucking coaches and teammates behind him. He has fucking world class coaches and world class teammates behind him, and yeah, man, this is going to be a really tough fight for me, but this is what I live for. This is exactly what I want. With Mike Tabera, yeah, he didn't have as much experience, but he did have as much experience in MMA. Like he had 10 years of experience in MMA. That guy, Mike Tabera, was coming from a world-class gym too. He came from MMA Gold, so he's come same thing, but just not as much as experience. So I thrive for shit like this. I love this. This is where I really get to test myself and see and show everybody and show myself that I really am made for this. I'm the best flyweight fighter in the world, and that I'm the most exciting flyweight fighter in the world. Whether I win or lose, man, I'm putting on the most exciting fights. It's gonna be a great fight for me. It's gonna be my coming out party, But these last couple fights, I've been able to dominate these guys. But this fight, I really want to show I just want to show that I'm on another level. I've already been showing that, but like I just want to show that there really is levels to this. And yeah, man, I'm the best. I'm the best flyweight fighter in the world. I'm the most exciting flyweight fighter in the world, and I'm gonna go show that on February 12th. And I can't
What
wait.
would winning that belt mean for you on the
It mean
12th?
everything, everything. So my whole entire life dream. I know it's his whole entire life dream too. He's not into. He's not. I mean, I hope that he's not into it just for a hobby. This is not something to be a hobbyist. When you make it to this level, at least when you're fighting for a world championship, you're not a hobbyist anymore. This is not just something that you could just say, "Hey, I'm a cage fighter." Like my goal is to be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, and this is everything that I've dreamed of since a little kid, and I'm gonna go get that belt and make it a reality. It's not just gonna be a dream anymore. It's gonna be a reality. When they say and the new flyweight champion Keaneo Moyer, that's what they're gonna say, and they're gonna wrap that belt around my waist, and then I'm gonna know, and I'm gonna show everybody that you could do anything that you put your mind to. Man, I've been dreaming of this since a little kid. Before I even got into MMA, I knew I was gonna be a world champion. I just had to go out there and prove it, and that's what I'm gonna do.
I am going to be tuning in for this one, man. I can't wait for you to have that opportunity. And I want you to add to your collection. I want that one to be right above the one that's on your wall right now. You deserve it, man. Like I know you're putting in the work.
Thank
You're
you.
giving
I
up
really
so
appreciate it.
you're giving up so much for this, and I know how passionate you are about this sport, and I want you to have those opportunities. I want you to have the opportunity to showcase your skills on a bigger stage. And that leads me to 2022. Like, here we are, it's only February. Last year, you fought twice, but if I know you well enough where it's like, that wasn't by design. I know, like, you're the type, you're a dog. Like,
Well, man, I should have been. I
you
should have
want
been had
fights.
3 fights. I should have had 3 fights because I gotta add this into the podcast because I know they be watching me too. So I have to add this in there. I was supposed to fight in March against this kid that I've been going out with. I've been going out with this dude. So I lost to Gus Villamil, which is from Go Shed Academy. Shout out to Gus. He was better man that night. He got me. So be it. Ever since that fight, I've been calling out their gym, calling out their gym, calling out all their fighters. Because they have a whole bunch of flyweight fighters over there. I'm down and willing all the time, clearly, to fly to other states and go fight people. So I've been calling them out, calling them out. Well, I signed the contract. I have a contract right here. I can pull it out and show you. I have a contract that was signed for March 26th. The 2 days after I signed the contract, this boy named Jared, yeah, he's a boy. That's what I'm gonna call him too. Last boy, last kid, because only little kids do this. I signed a contract. 2 days after I signed the contract, he pulled out of the fight because he broke his ribs, supposedly. Broke his ribs. Okay, I have had my fair share of injuries inside the gym, so I let it be. He ended up fighting on May 4th. There's no way that you break your fucking ribs and then fight on May 4th. Literally, his coach, Asim, which is everybody knows who that is. If you're on Instagram, go look it up. Awesome MMA, fucking scrub. Um, Literally, he's hiding his fighters from me. He builds up their records, like he pads their records. So I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm going out and finding all these tough fighters all over different places, and he's literally padding their records. And I should have had 3 fights last year. So after I beat this kid, I'm focused on Jesse Tafoya. That's what I'm focused on. But after I beat this kid, y'all can't go running no more. I want these goat shed dudes. I'm hungry for some goat. I want some goat, and that's what I want. I'm not no vegan. I'm all about the beef. So where it at? I want that smoke. These boys are all on Instagram. That's what they are. They're clout chasers. I'm not about that. I don't have 10,000 followers. I didn't pay for my followers. I'm working hard in the gym. I'm coming up from the gutter. And, I didn't pay for nothing. I didn't come from no silver spoon. So I should have had 3 fights. So, this year is my year. It's the year of the king, the year of Young Guns, and I'm going to show y'all. So after February 12th, don't go running. Don't go
Man,
running. When I hop on that mic and call one of y'all out, please do not go running.
hey, sounds like we're gonna have a real bona fide call out, and man, I can't wait to have you back so we can talk about the next fight too. Keaneo, man, you're an absolute legend. I love talking to you. I love watching you fight. I will vouch for you. You are an exciting fighter to watch. You do not put on boring fights. You're active. You're violent. And you put people to sleep, man. I want to see that happen for you on February 12th. Want to give you the last word to shout out. I know you have a lot of sponsors that help you out. I want to go ahead and give you that chance to shout out all the people that are in your corner that make the Young Gunz show possible.
Well, first and foremost, I need to give all thanks and glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. Secondly, I got to give a shout out to my mama. Thank you so much, Mom, for everything that you have done for me. You seriously made your son into a world champion. You've made me into the man that I am, and I thank you so much. Thirdly, got to give a shout out to all my sponsors, PDX Sliders. Y'all have been there with me since the beginning. Again, I'm gonna say this: they have the best sliders or burgers in the whole United States, hands down. If you are in Portland, Oregon, make sure y'all stop through. They got 2 different locations. Y'all have Google. Y'all know how to find it. Make sure y'all come through. Shout out to my second main sponsor, Ready Player Cards. They're a local card shop here in Portland, Oregon. Small business that's coming up. You can find them on Instagram at Ready Player Cards. Make sure y'all give them a follow and show them some love. Y'all can also get some merch from them that's helping me in my fight camp. And also, man, I just want to give a shout out to my teammates and my coaches at Equip Academy. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for helping me get ready for this fight. Shout out to 10th Planet Portland for having the best open mats and some of the best no-gi jiu-jitsu in the whole entire world. And lastly, man, I want to give a shout out to you, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me on your show, bro.
Hey, man, anytime, man.
It's so dope being on this show, man. It's really, it's going to be amazing for me one day to be holding my UFC belt and just come back on the show and just be able to say, man, I remember when I was coming off of a loss and you like I was able to get on your show, man. You gave me the chance you gave me the opportunity, man, and I can't thank you enough, seriously. And
hey, man, that's what we're all about. It's all about providing a platform for folks that don't always have one. The fight business is a business at the end of the day, and fighting, for you, is the easy part. It's selling fights. That's what's hard. It's doing interviews. It's getting people to care. That's the hardest thing. And I find it disingenuous, like, to hit up people after they've like made it. It's like, now all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, now I'm good enough to talk to you. Like, where were you when I was selling tickets? Where were you, when I was eating top ramen? Like where were you when I was in the gutter? Like, you were nowhere to be found.
Well, for this example right here, right? Because I just put that out there. I don't have 10,000 followers or even 1,000 followers. Where were you at when I had 200 followers? Even though I'm one of the best flyweight fighters in the whole United States right now. That's just flat out facts. Like, seriously. And I'm not a clout chaser. I'm not one of these people like, yeah, I get it. Social media is a really big thing, and that's how you market yourself and you get yourself out there. But I'm gonna let my wins speak for themselves. So when I win these fights and when I start, like when I go finish Jesse the way that I'm supposed to finish Jesse, and I know that I can, that's when I start building myself up, That's how I do this. I don't want to be like Jake Paul. Shout out to Jake Paul. No offense to him. Like, he's doing really good at his thing, but that's not what I'm about. What I'm about is being the best fighter in the world. Number 1 pound for pound, not number 1 for likes and number 1 for views.
I'm the best podcast pound for pound. You know what?
Exactly.
Hey, man, it's time to get on the platinum yacht now while there's still time. As soon as this boat leaves, man, I don't have time to come back for your asses. I don't. Like, you either get on now. Man. Everyone's got a first class ticket. You either get on now or, you get gone. I don't have time for you. Keaneo, man, you're an absolute legend. Can't wait to have you back.